Good morning. I wrote a ghost play once called Genevive Stickney's Ghost in the year of 2013. Apparently, there is a ghost named Genevieve Stickney who hanged herself within her home elevator back in the 1940s, and later on then her home turned into the Bowers Harbor Inn, and it became a culture visit. And some say that they saw Genevieve Stickney's ghost. So I wrote the play and finished it. And later on, I found out that Genevieve Stickney's never hung herself, but she had died at the Pantlind Hotel in 1947 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Well, I still have my play script, and I changed the title saying Reflections of a Mistress. The three principal actresses is Genevive Stickney, Frances Wellington, and Marybeth Hazelworth. And later on I found out the very true mistress in this story in Traverse City, Michigan in 2013.
Act 1, Scene 5. The lights immediately rise slowly on Frances pointing at Torch Lake. From their hilltop view, with the audience hearing her say, look there, Brian.
Look there, Brian. Have you ever seen more beautiful cherry trees in your life? See how they cascade down the green hillsides, nearly touching the lake? Come closer. I don't want you to miss this wonderful sight.
Brian steps in a gopher hole going lame. He hollers as she quickly goes to his aid. Oh, God!
I warned you about stepping into holes. Here, put your arm around me and let me help you over there.
Oh, no. I believe I'm all right. Let me put my weight on it and see if it will.
What is it with you men, refusing strengths and good sense of women? Put your arm around me and stop with your masculine posturing.
Frances helps him to the bench, kneeling at his feet. Thank you. Ask me if I feel stupid.
Oh, no fault of yours. Just sit still while I take off your shoe. There. And your sock. When I press here, does it hurt?
No.
What about here?
No.
And here?
Yeah! Oh, yes, there.
I believe you have a bad sprain. There's light swelling around your ankle, though.
Is it serious?
It's serious enough to keep you up all night.
Great. I'm expected to Chicago first thing tomorrow morning.
Oh, try not to worry. We'll sit here a while, and you'll get back in the house in good time.
I can see it now. The headline reads, Paranormal Investigator Crippled by Angry Poltergeist.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. No one would write such a thing.
Oh, you bet they would. I do it all the time.
Oh, shame on you, Brian.
Do you suppose Genevieve had a hand in this?
No, it was just a gopher hole, not an angry ghost.
You still don't believe in ghosts?
Maybe just a little.
Believe me, they're real, Frances.
When I see one, you'll be the first to know, Brian.
I bet you'll see one before the end of the day.
You've got your bet. What's your wager?
How about $20 or a kiss?
What did you say? A kiss?
Yeah, I think I did. It just, sort of slipped out. Are you offended?
No, why should I be?
I think my ankle's swelling.
Well, let me take a look. Oh, it's gotten bigger. We should get back into the house then.
Sure, but before we do, I'm curious about something you said earlier.
About what?
Ronald McPherson. Who was he? I thought you'd react like that. I figured after all these years you'd be able to talk about him.
You hardly know me, Brian. You have no way of knowing what I should do or not do, especially in areas of my heart.
Touché.
I called him Ronnie. He was born in New Hartford, Connecticut, and he told me he wanted to fly through the clouds one day. It was raining buckets when I first saw him, as he was carried on a stretcher into a crowded tent, filled with cries from those who were soon to die. We called it the Pearly Gates, for it was here where those deemed not long for life stayed. As his closed eyes slowly opened, observing my frightened stare, his searching gaze pulled me closer. I quietly read his medical chart, feeling him looking at me, as I sadly realized he was holding thinly to this world. It was late one evening. My watch had come to its end, and as I began to leave the tent, I sensed him watching me, so I stopped and turned around, and his eyes were on me, beckoning me. So I kneeled by his side, placing my hand on his discolored fingers, and where I sat throughout the night holding hands with this dying young man. Somewhere in the night, I fell asleep, and when awakening, I nervously felt for the touch of his hand, fearing it to be cold and stiffened. But to my surprise, it was warm and gripping, and as I opened my eyes, I saw his were deeply blue as he stared lovingly into my tearing eyes. Within that night, a miracle was realized, for young Lieutenant Ronald McPherson cheated death, and as his body strengthened, so did our love steadily grow. While on his leave from the U.S. Army Air Service, we spent our short time together in my flat, loving and living as a couple, until that sobering day of departure arrived. I walked to the harbor to see his ship off before his voyage. I waved to him as I stood on the crowded dock, as the tall smokestacks spewed dark clouds into the sky, and the ship horn was blasting its final farewell, as thousands of young men were hanging over iron railings, frantically waving tearful goodbyes, as tugboats were launching their ship elsewhere to a place where many of them would never return to kiss their loved ones ever again. Letters were our lifeline, sharing our dreams, from ink to paper, anticipating each other's new delivery. Then came a time when days followed one after another without receiving postage from him. Desperately thinking the worst, his forgetting our days under the sun, I contacted the United States Army to find my love. It was late September, when leaves began to fall, when I heard knocking on my door. There stood two young soldiers, not much older than him. They said Ronnie had been flying in France over Lorraine, near the city of Saint Michel, on the 13th of September, one afternoon day. My dear Ronnie's reconnaissance plane had been shot down like a migrating bird in flight as he was crossing over German lines. In hearing this, my heart fell, as it did that horrible day, yet I couldn't cry. I felt nothing, as if every drop of blood drained from my shaken body. My saddest thought was of my dear Ronnie having never read my last letter, for on its parchment I had happily written of my joy of carrying our baby.
Forgive me, Frances. I'm truly sorry. I should have known. What became of your child?
I too, like Genevieve, had miscarriaged. I lost them both. My anguish surely was to blame for my final loss. Here, give me your hand.
Frances, what's wrong? What? Frances, what are you seeing? What are you seeing, Frances?
I hear an elevator. It's moving downward.
What? Frances, where are you? Where are you right now? Where are you?
We just arrived.
Where, Frances? Chicago?
No.
Are you in the elevator?
No.
Are you in a hotel?
No.
At this point, Marybeth and Charles appear within a soft light, setting down their luggage in the foyer of his home. The sound of an elevator in motion is continually heard. Who, Frances? Who is in the elevator?
I don't know yet. Charles and I have just arrived and are setting our luggage in the foyer. My attention's drawn to the elevator. Its motor just stopped. I'm looking at Charles, then quickly at the elevator, and its doors are opening, and it's her. It's her. It's her. It's her.
Who?
It's her.
Who?
It's her.
Who is it? Who is it? Who?
It's her. It's her.
Who?